Welcome to the Savvy Giving Gal podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Turilli-Smith. Today, I'm chatting with Lee Ann Coburn. Lee Ann is a managing director, wealth management advisor at Merrill Lynch. For the last 4 years, she's been named Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors and Forbes America's Top Women Wealth Advisors. She's not your typical wealth advisor. She is passionate about how we can be purposeful with our wealth and uplifted by the impact we can make. Lee Ann has a special interest in sudden wealth and navigating the excitement and challenges that come with newly created wealth. She is the founder and creator of Ballers, Bay Area Women Leaders. This organization gives women a place to connect, collaborate, and create positive ripple effects throughout our community. Today, we will explore Lee Ann's journey into financial advising and her mission to uplift women through mentoring, socially responsible investing, and her empowering women's group, Ballers. Lee Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Melissa. I'm honored and humbled to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. Now, listeners, Lee Ann and I have been close friends forever. And I've had the privilege of attending several of her Ballers events, and I'm continually inspired by the unique nature of bringing so many different women together, different career backgrounds. You know, every event is different, and all the women bring such a powerful and positive energy to the room, similar to the powerful energy that you bring to our friendship and to the room whenever we're together. So I know everyone will feel that energy today during our conversation. So I'd like to start by you sharing with the listeners what led you to a career in financial advising.
Sure. And can I just say that you were born to do this?
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Like you're such
I do love doing this. Thank you so much.
Such a natural. And when I listened to some of your other guests, I was like, oh my goodness. You are a collector of founders.
Yeah.
All of your friends are founders. And I was like, thank goodness I'm a founder because I can be part of that group.
Yes, you are. And I'm so happy you're here.
But yeah, so how did I get started? It was basically like I do so many things. It was out of necessity and stupidity. Mm-hmm. I needed a job.
Yeah.
I needed a job. And I graduated from college. I had 4 days to find a job because I was graduating on the East Coast. My fiance at the time and now husband was graduating from Cal. Mm-hmm. So I came out to see his graduation. I had interned at this retail company we've all heard of. Mm-hmm. Their headquarters was in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So I naively thought, oh, they would have heard of me. I walk into the headquarters and I just this was so silly. The toll booths that are meant to keep people like me out. Mm-hmm. I walked through, I set the alarms off. And the security guard was like, hey, honey, what are you doing? Do you have an appointment? And I'm like, no, I'm here to see Mickey, the CEO. He's like, get back here. Mm. So I gave my resume. I'm sure he shredded it promptly. Mm-hmm. And then this is going to date me, but it's back to BlackBerry days. We didn't have smartphones. I had interned at Putnam Investments and kind of read the Wall Street Journal throughout high school, college. So the only other company I knew in San Francisco happened to be an investment firm. Mm-hmm. So I walked a few blocks, did the exact same thing I'd done at that retail company. Mm-hmm. The sales manager saw me and I walked out 15 minutes later with a job.
Oh, I love it.
But the funny part too was that when I got home, my fiance, now husband, he's like, I was like, great news. I got a job. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that's awesome. What are you doing? And I go, I have no idea. So thank God I didn't know because had I known how hard it was, I probably would have run away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think being naive like that when we're young and getting our first jobs is sometimes a blessing because we don't know what we're getting into until we're kind of in it.
Totally.
And we need the paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the last, 20 years in mm-hmm. financial advising now?
Yeah.
Does that one incident now has turned into...
Oh my goodness.
A lot of years.
It's been amazing. And by the way, I started when I was 2, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just been an incredible journey. I feel so grateful to have so-called stumbled in mm-hmm. to the business. There were a lot of times when I wanted to quit because it was really tough. Mm-hmm. I joke, but it's not joke. I cried for the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Because all I wanted to do was help people, mm-hmm. but I had to find the people. They didn't know that they needed my help.
That's right. Yeah.
And it was really challenging.
Yes.
But I'm so grateful I stayed in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great.
And speaking of helping people, so you not only help people when you are helping them with their finances, you've also kind of made it your mission to help the women around you at Merrill. Can you speak to that?
Sure. It started several years ago, actually, and it started in a very selfish way. My boss came to me and said, "Do you want a free trip to New York?" And I was like, "Yes, please."
Yeah, I love New York.
I love that. Yeah. And a lot of my friends are there. And he's like, "All you have to do is start a women's exchange chapter." And I was like, "Great." I didn't know what that was, but let's do it.
Let's do it.
And very quickly I found that, well, first of all, it was like herding cats. Like you do have to start anything, and this. You're the founder too. It's can be difficult, but you just get a great team of people. I had several volunteers who helped me found this. And by the way, I'm not the one who started it. Originally, there was a woman in New York, Alyssa Mader's her name, and she just took, this is 15 years ago, she took two people, these are women in her office because there weren't any other women, to lunch. And they loved it so much, they said, "Alyssa, can you please do that again?" She founded the Women's Exchange nationally at Merrill. So today there are 50 chapters. There are over 7,000 women and men who are a part of it. And that's the really cool part too, I think, is that, it's not just women who are uplifting other women, it's men who are uplifting other women. And in such a male-dominated industry, we need that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's such a key piece of what you're doing because, as women, we should always be lifting each other up. And, we try to surround ourselves with women who lift us up. But we need men to also believe in what we're doing, believe that we're capable, and work with us. And especially in an industry like yours, I think it's commendable that these men that are part of these groups are seeing the value in the women around them.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So it very quickly became one of my, even though I didn't know it at the time, all of a sudden it was like, this is what I love to do. I love connecting with other women. All the presidents got together once a year. That was super helpful. I got to meet my now BFF, my work wife, who I'm on a national council with now. That was amazing. Met all these mentors and other women across the country. That was just incredibly motivating. And also, whenever I had an issue, I could go to them, and not like when I didn't want to talk with someone directly in the same vicinity. So that was amazing. I got to be on the National Women's Exchange Board. And one of my passions is and continues to be, how can we get more women into this industry? Because, when I started, it was 85% male. Men were financial advisors. And sadly, the numbers haven't changed.
Really? Even with all this work that you guys have been doing?
I've been trying to move
What do you think the barrier to entry is for women maybe thinking about this career but decide against it?
It's really hard to say, but I do think it's because we need to lift each other up. I think there needs to be more men, more women who are, it's just natural, right? Like if I'm going to call someone, I'll call you or another girlfriend. And so I think it's very natural for a guy who's in the industry, if they need help or they need someone to take over their business, it's very natural to go to someone who looks or seems like them. So I think just people need to be more open-minded. I think mentorship is huge and education. I think that we need to go to colleges and our daughters and our sons and just educate them about this huge opportunity in wealth management.
I want to go back to, mentoring and giving back because there's so many ways to do that in your life, right? But I do think giving back in your workplace, which is what you've made your mission and your passion, is something we all need to look at too. Mentorship is essential to growth and to other people's growth. And for you to take time and probably money out of your pocket because you're not doing your job when you're mentoring other women, is huge. And I think we really need to take a good look at that in every industry, but yours specifically.
Yeah, I do too. I think we do. And again, it goes back to just kind of what's natural, I think. And to me, when I started the Women's Exchange, what I found very early on was that my most favorite thing was getting other women together from different industries and let's get everyone connected and see what happens. So it was like we did an event where it was actually this movie event. We showed this misrepresentation documentary.
Yeah.
And we got together women from Google and Facebook and Genentech and all these different, mostly tech companies. And we had a little happy hour. We did one of those silly bingo games, like find someone who's a lefty or who's been to 17 countries or whatever. And it was crazy. Like I remember the electricity in the room where I had never been in business. I had never been in a room with all women ever.
Really? Well, of course. I said really, but
it was
in an 85%
isn't that silly?
Male-dominated industry. Of course you haven't. Yeah.
So in this like really weird way, I literally felt this electricity throughout the night and throughout the room. And then the feedback we got afterwards, it was just like, wow, this is something. I started to feel like if I need this, maybe some other people, other women do too.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been to your Baller events, which is the organization that kind of, was born out of this idea that we all need each other no matter what industry you're in. And when we get together, it is so powerful and it is electric. And all these women in accounting and nonprofits, like we all are connected now and want to help each other and grow each other's businesses and communities, and we help each other and we give back. And so there is something super powerful, not just about mentoring within your own industry, but across different industries.
There is. And that's, for some reason, that's what I found. I guess it goes back to, what am I not good at? There are a lot of things I'm not good at.
I would disagree, by the way, listeners.
No.
No.
There are many. I can't bake a cake without it falling. I am terrible. If I try to cook a family meal, most likely the smoke alarm's going to go off. And that's like a running joke in my family, but it's true. I can't park. I can parallel park, but I can't regular park.
Wow.
It's really weird. It's an odd thing. I'm always over the right. But the one thing I have just loved to do is connect. I am a problem solver. And even if I'm not the solution, which a lot of times I'm not, I want to help you find, the CPA. You need an estate planner. I want to help you find that. You need a job. I want to help connect you to someone who can find you a job, whatever it is. And then that goes, I think it kind of leaks over, spreads over to mentoring too. It's like, I'm so grateful to all of the people who helped me build a career, build a practice, and I wouldn't be here without them. And, you finally reach a point where I was like, what else do I want? I mean, I had these like long-term goals in life. It's kind of sad. But one of them was to have an orange baby jog stroller called the Bob.
I love the little thing. Yes.
And the other was I just wanted an island in my kitchen. And my husband got really annoyed at that one time because we didn't have a large enough kitchen for an island. He's like, for the love of God, you want just a 4x4 island? I'll get you your island.
Yes.
But so, those things, I was fortunate enough to get those.
Yes.
I love the baby Bob jog stroller. I actually cried when I gave it away. It was so sad. But it brought me a lot of joy too. And then, after those goals, I literally was like, what's next? What else? And I came to the conclusion of, I want to give back. I want to help people. I want to help especially women stay and get and know about this incredible secret. It literally is like the most kept secret out there. I think wealth management is the best career for women, especially moms.
Well, ladies, if you're listening, and moms, if you're listening and thinking about getting back into the workforce, you can trust what Lee Ann is saying because she is truly one of the most amazing givers I know in all aspects of her life. But find someone like her if you want to get into this industry who truly wants to pay forward what was given to them. And there is a lot of opportunity. And I think that's very exciting. Like when I hear you talk about it, I want to be a wealth manager. Yeah.
We want you. Yes, we want you on that wall.
Joking. But I
great.
mean, getting excited about something like that in the past maybe was directed mostly the excitement towards a man, I think is a great thing.
There's a huge opportunity, and I call it MILFs. I've hired a MILF, a mother I'd like to hire, or I've hired a FILF, a father I'd like to hire. And those to me are they're people who've been out of the workforce for whatever reason. A lot of times it's having kids, and it can be a woman or a man. But, I recall I used to run with this amazing woman who lived in my neighborhood, a friend of mine, Jill, and she'd meet me every Tuesday, Thursday, every day, 6 a.m., rain or shine. It would be sleeting, and she would still meet me. And she had the whole day. Like she wasn't working for pay, outside her home. And I remember being like, Jill, I just want to hire you. Like, you're a MILF. That's what I need.
Yes.
I need a MILF because you're not going to waste your time at the water cooler.
Right.
And that sort of thing. And I think that so many of us would love to hire those people. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of people out there who are so smart and just are not sure how to get back into it. Mm-hmm. But Merrill actually has hired. I personally, and then many people I've seen have hired, been hired after being out of the workforce for a while.
Mm-hmm. And how do you, when you're hiring someone like that, what's the flexibility? Because it is very difficult. And I have watched you be a working mother for many years, and there are challenges to that. Can you speak to that part of your job? Because I think a lot of people out there look at financial advising and they're like, oh, you're there all day, every day till 12 o'clock at night. I think that's maybe a misconception, or maybe that is what's required.
Well, it depends. It's a CPA answer. It depends.
Okay.
And if we're talking going back to, my early stage and career and everything, I mean, I would say I worked half days. I worked 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then I'd usually get home and work more. Mm-hmm. I worked a lot.
Yeah.
And was there balance? No, like there was not. And I have to be clear about that. One of my colleagues will say, who's a great mentor, Rich Wald, he says you can look, this industry, if you can work like nobody can, if you can work like nobody will for the first 5 years, you can live like nobody can for the next rest of your life.
That's fantastic.
So who knows if that's true, but I do feel like in the beginning, yes, you work so hard. Now there's a lot more flexibility, like for some of the MILFs and FILFs I've hired, it's part-time and there's a lot of flexibility.
Yes.
And the other thing that I always remember or go back to is years ago when my daughter was 2, I went to this, I saw the COO of Barclays and she had 4 children. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, how do you do this? How do you do the work-life balance thing? And she's like, how old are your kids? I was like, I have 1, she's 2. And she's like, no. She doesn't need you now. Mm-hmm. She needs you when she's in high school. Mm-hmm. And that really stuck with me. It was like whenever there were like late nights or I was working hard, I was like, which I still hopefully am, but just in a different way. I was like, I need to put this time in now so that I can have the freedom to be home later. Right. So now, I really have made a commitment. My girls are in high school, both of them. Yeah. One's about to fly the coop, and I really am striving to just be available to them, especially in the afternoons, working, and we're more flexible too.
True.
I love that I can take a meeting and do that, and they know that I'm working, but they also know that I'm there. Mm-hmm. And if they ever knock on the door, and this is my rule, they ever knock on the door, or if they call me, no matter where I am or what I'm doing, even in a client meeting, I will answer the phone.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I want them to feel that they have a voice, and I want them to know how important they are to me.
Right.
Now, I want the same to be true for them, like when I call them, but
well, I would like you to tell Noah, my son, that those are the rules, but
it should be. It should be. A little bit more coaching is needed on my part for my girls.
Yes. And speaking of your girls, I know them very well. I've watched them grow up, and they are they're truly spectacular young women. What do you think they've seen by watching you work all these years, and do you hope that they've learned from that?
Oh, man. Yeah, I had so much guilt before this one conversation with Sienna. Mm-hmm. That mom guilt that we all carry no matter what, whether you're working inside the home, outside the home, for pay, for not pay, whatever. Mm-hmm. I just think we always feel like we're not doing enough for our kids. Yes. So I definitely was carrying that. And it was just like a year or so ago, I was in the kitchen and randomly my oldest said, gosh, Mom, I'm really glad you work out. And I was like, what do you mean? And I was fearful. I was like, because I'm not up in your grill, because I don't know your business. Yeah. And she was really sincere. She's like, no, because you're a role model. And my other friends not all of them have that. Mm-hmm. So that, oh my God,
that's pretty special. Almost, I would have been bawling my eyes out. Like, that's pretty special. That's pretty special. And validating that it was those, nights you may have had to work or, the days they saw you go to work, or maybe you were late to something at school, or whatever it was, like they knew you weren't off just playing around. Like you were dedicated to your career. You were giving back to other women. Mm-hmm. You were doing all the things that they wanted to aspire to be and to do.
Hopefully. On the other hand, my youngest saw that, like, one day I was doing my mandates, which we all loathe, but we have to do so often. And I was watching TV with her, and I thought, oh, this would be a good time for me to be like, so Cam, you want to get into this business? Yeah. and
very subtle,
right? Very subtle as we're watching a show. And I'm doing those mandates, click, clack. And she's like, nah, brah. Seems like what you do is super boring.
Oh, no.
All you do is mandates. So I have some work to do on that.
You got to bring it to the fun things, like the women's exchange.
Right? I got to bring to women's exchange, ballers.
Yeah.
So we're working on that. Work in progress. But the values that I hope this instills is, certainly hard work. Mm-hmm. I want them to see, and I know what I love, and I see that with you and your kids. They see how hard you work. Yeah. They do. And I think we oftentimes don't realize that they are watching. They're always watching and seeing you. So you are instilling that value system in them. I hope they feel that work ethic. I hope they feel love, and also the idea that giving back is really important. And that love that I talk about is, to me, it's unconditional love. And I try to show that every day with, it's so silly, but now they're high school. They don't want this, but I make them give me a hug every day.
I do too.
Right?
Okay. So audience, listeners, I'm telling you, you need to make your, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm telling you, I make Noah, Sophia still wants to hug me, but I make Noah give me a hug at least once a day. I'm like, I love you. Yes. We're going to hug right now. He's super annoyed. I don't care.
No.
And I am really hoping that when he's 35, he's going to look back and be like, I loved when you made me hug you, because I was aggravated, and and he always gets a smile out of it, thankfully. And he, entertains me when I want that. But I think it is super important, because teenage years are hard. And as mothers, even if we're not working, we're not working. There's no manual to raising these kids. And so I really do think love should be at the forefront of that, as well as them seeing you give to others, which you are just doing in every aspect of your life. But they're watching you. They're watching how you interact with other people in your community, other mothers, people that you work with. And so just rest assured, when there's bad days, that they do see you, and they know how much you love them. And if you're working at that every day.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So,
and I think that reminds me of just of actually mentoring too. Like in the halls, when you're having a bad day, how important it is for people who've been there, done that before, to just say hi. To just say hey to the new person. How's it going? What are you up to? Because I think it was hard for me. That was something. One of my regrets, I'd say, is that I didn't have the confidence when I was starting to put myself out there and to maybe ask someone for advice or help.
Well, I definitely think confidence, and maybe just the fear of the reaction from the other person. I know I struggle with that a lot, where I want to speak to someone maybe I think is, more successful than me, and I'm fearful that they're going to react in a way that makes me feel embarrassed or ashamed that I asked. And I think we need to get past that, especially as women. Totally. We need to approach those situations and just be ourselves, be authentic. And I think that a lot of the times, whoever we're speaking to will really want to help us. I think there are a lot of people out there like you who want to help another person succeed. And so I think if we go into it thinking about it like that, and not thinking that they're going to discard us, then we'll just grow so much faster, and I think be able to do so many more great things in our communities, in our jobs, as mothers, whatever it may be. So one of my secret loves is skincare. I absolutely cherish the 20 minutes of quiet time I have in the morning when my kids are still asleep and my husband leaves for work. I wash my face and apply my skincare while listening to podcasts, music, mantras, and sometimes just in silence. It is the little bit of me time before the hectic day starts. eCosmetics offers the best in beauty from the biggest names in beauty, all in one place. They have great prices, exceptional service, free shipping, and 100% satisfaction guarantee. I love being able to find my favorites all in one place. Something that is also super important to me is when I shop brands that I buy from a brand that believes in helping others and impacting communities. eCosmetics participates in charitable efforts through the platform Good Shop, where a portion of the purchases made through their site contributes to various causes. This allows customers to support charities while shopping for beauty products. If you are looking for a one-stop shop for all of your beauty needs, you should check out eCosmetics. Use my code SAVVY25, that's SAVVY25 at checkout for 25% off. I'll also provide links in the show notes. I say on the podcast all the time, I love to buy from brands that give back. I think it's super important. I think investing my money in brands that are socially responsible is important. Can you speak to socially responsible investing and what that is?
Sure. It's a big part of what I do. SRI, or socially responsible investing, sometimes called sustainable responsible investing. It's simply investing for growth or wanting growth in terms of financial returns, but also investing in a values-based way or in a way that you believe in. And it can mean how we think of it at Merrill is ABC, right? Avoid, benefit, contribute. And so I've had people I work with who, one woman, her brother unfortunately passed away from lung cancer. And she said, I do not want to invest in anything to do with tobacco. So you can put an X, or you can say, no, we did that for an entire industry. You can put an X or avoid an industry or avoid, sometimes people want to avoid a certain company. One person I work with had a terrible experience with Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
She's like, I had to wait way too long, whatever it was. Not foamy enough, not creamy enough, I don't know. But so we put an X on Starbucks. Okay. So you can do that when you own individually held managed accounts. And then benefit, contribute. Benefit takes it a step further than avoid. So you're investing in things where that you believe in. So there's like entire strategies that are all meant to be invested in socially sustainable, responsible investments. And you know that they all will be. And then contribute takes it even a step further. And this may go down a rabbit hole.
No,
but there's different ways to do this too. So whether it's a nonprofit that is, a parochial school and they want to invest in a Catholic voice and value strategy, they can do that, where you're literally adhering to all of those values only. Or there's also these advocates. So the contribute part is some managers actually can strive to affect change, and in major ways.
Wow. So
did you know that if you own $2,000 of any stock or company, you can file what's called a shareholder resolution?
I didn't know that, but Lee Ann did tell me that the other day. I got to be full transparency. She did tell me this the other day when we were talking about, companies and wanting to, do what good in the world. And, we talk a lot about all kinds of different things. So, but why don't you tell the listeners what they can do with that?
Well, I think it's amazing. So if you own $2,000 of any company, you can file a shareholder resolution. And that's a letter simply to the shareholders of the company where they have to respond. If they don't, it's embarrassing, and it's also can be against the law. So some of these managers, and I could list some of them, but and by managers, I mean like mutual fund companies, they'll file tons of shareholder resolutions. Sometimes they have more attorneys on their staff than investment professionals, because they're striving to affect change in a good way. Whether there's unfair employment practices or unfair maternity practices, they're striving to make change. And it's really cool when you get to invest sometimes, right, in those ways, because you can invest, you can do well in your investments, and also do great things for the world.
I love that so much because, I really strive in all areas of my life to make giving, be like a focus. And I know you do too. And when it comes to wealth, I don't think we should feel bad if we have wealth. I think we should use it for good, and I try to encourage all the people. We live in a very affluent community. I just try to encourage everybody to do just a little bit more, just a little bit. And if they can look at their portfolio and just give to companies that are being socially responsible, value-based, that's another aspect of their life that they can feel really good about,
Totally.
making a contribution to the world.
Crazy stat is McKinsey and Associates did a study and they found that 85, this is just a few years ago, 85% of individuals want to invest in a values-based way.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That makes me so happy, actually.
I know.
Yes.
So many people do. And it's all different for everyone. It might be climate change. And it might be, like I said, women, or I didn't mention this, but women and girls equality strategy. We have one of those.
Too. Yeah.
Or the Catholic voice and value. It's just everyone's different in terms of their value system and what they want to accomplish. There's so many ways that you can do that. But what I've found and been so surprised by, it's not necessarily who you think it is who want these strategies, right? They told us, it's all the millennials. Like, it's only the young people. No.
No.
I call it the when Harry met Sally couples. Yeah. It's like, on the couch like this. It's like the they're in their 70s. This happened to me. They were in my office and I had noticed, I was like, you have, a teeny bit of this sustainable, responsible. It was a Pax World Fund.
Right.
And I was like, how important is it to you to invest according to your values? And they looked at each other and they looked back at me and like all of a sudden the light bulb went on and they were like, we can do that here? We can invest according to our values? They were so excited because to them, and this is their quote, they said, we have enough. We know we do. We're just at a point in our lives where we want to give back. And they do now. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, that honestly is a beautiful thing. And I think it's great that you are educating clients on the ability to do that because to be honest, before Lee Ann and I talked about this, I didn't even know that was an actual thing. I mean, I always, like I said, try to buy from brands that I feel like are doing good things in the world, but I didn't know that I could put my money behind brands.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just absolutely love that that's part of your, coaching your clients on what they can do with their money.
Oh, they coach me.
Yeah.
I mean,
they tell you.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
Yes, they do. And that was the funny thing too, because I started to notice, and by the way, looking back, I had probably, when I first started, I had a gentleman come to me and say he wanted to do this. And I literally was like, okay, and you can kiss your money goodbye. Like there weren't that many options. I didn't know about it. I didn't know what I didn't know. And fast forward a couple of decades and there are so many different options. And it's the opposite of kissing your money goodbye. It's you can actually do good. And with risk adjusted returns, the returns are better. If not the same. I mean, because you're taking on less risk because so many of these sustainable strategies are just they're not only good for the environment, they're good for the company, they're good for the world, right? They're just smart business practices to recycle, to have maternity, paternity practices, to not discriminate. Like all those things are good things for companies.
Absolutely. And the people who support them. I mean, this is like communities that these companies are in. I mean,
yes.
So the ripple effect of that is huge.
Yes.
Exactly. Is this, you just recently got a designation for a chartered, sustainable, responsible investment counselor. Is that part of this whole kind of strategy with your clients?
And
that's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. Exactly.
Okay, that is, I had to
they need
read
to change
because that is, they should fix that. Sorry.
It's reason enough not to get that. But I got that during COVID. I got it because my clients were asking, they were clamoring for this type of investment. And it's all different. Some were just saying, I don't want to invest in tobacco.
Right.
Some were saying, I don't want to invest in fossil fuel, whatever it was.
Right.
I knew this was a thing. It's sort of like ants in your kitchen, right?
Oh,
If you find one or two,
worst thing.
It's the worst.
Sorry to digress, but I absolutely hate ants in my house.
Totally. It's
sorry.
Pet peeve.
Yes.
But if you see one or two, you know there are more.
Yes.
And that's what I found with my clients. And so it's not something I coach them in. It's more, I just ask them. I want them to know it's available if they want to.
Right.
And oftentimes they'll be like, what do you mean? And when I ask how important is it to you to invest according to your values? And sometimes they'll say, I never thought of that before. What do you mean? What else? And I'll explain a few of the strategies: climate change, environmental, social, and governance, women and girls equality strategy, and the people you don't think. Like a guy who I work with who is in construction, he said, yes. Do you know that my construction company is all about climate change? That's what we do. That's what our business is. A CFO I work with said, Yes, absolutely. I didn't know we could do that, but that is what our company is all about. So there's so many people who they do it for their own everyday work, and it makes sense.
Yeah. It kind of just reminds me too of the different way people give back. And, sometimes they don't realize like what they can do. And then they're like, I can give to that, or I can only, $100 goes that far. Or I love being able to kind of coach people on that just in their everyday life, just like you do with their wealth. It's like they want to give back. They want reasons and ways to give back. And sometimes they just don't know how. And then you give them the path and it just opens it up. And then they want to do it, at their parties with Party and Kindness, or just at the food bank, or whatever it happens to be that's important to them, similar to your clients. And you just give them resources, and then they just roll. They're so excited, and they just like roll with it.
Yep. And, we didn't talk about this, and I don't mean to digress, but that is a big part of what I'm doing right now is helping people give or gift in a tax-efficient way. So it's end of the year. A lot of people are thinking about giving strategies. They're thinking about taxes, and oh goodness, it's going to be a high tax bill next year. Well, there are ways that you can basically structure a donation to a nonprofit like yours or others, the schools, what have you, but where they can take highly appreciated stock or assets and put it into a donor advised fund. And you get immediate tax deduction the year in which you do this, which can be huge. And then also when those stocks are sold or assets are sold within the donor advised fund, you don't have to pay tax on it. So it's sort of the tax savings double whammy.
Which is great because there's no shame in doing that in a like giving back in large sums or small sums in a responsible way that also benefits you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with doing that, and having a financial advisor that can actually advise you on that is fantastic, because especially around the holidays when maybe a lot of people aren't thinking about, end of year giving or some of these other things, having you set something like that up for them is just such an added benefit to them. And then obviously the people that they help.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm blown away by the generosity at the end of the year. And I think more people would be generous if they knew they had that opportunity.
I think so. It's just an organized way to gift, and you can set up grants so that it could go to like Party and Kindness every single year, or other institutions that you may gift to every year, and it makes it easy. It also can help in a year when you have a large maybe tax bill or income that year.
Right. It kind of makes giving easy and giving fun in a way, because you're kind of choosing where your money goes. These important organizations to you as the giver. So I absolutely love that. That's an option for your clients. So I think it's fantastic. Hey friends, it's Melissa. I want to talk to you about something that has been life-changing for me: therapy. I've personally used therapy, and I can tell you firsthand how powerful it is to have someone in your corner guiding you through life's challenges. That's why I'm proud that today's sponsor is BetterHelp, an online therapy service that makes it easy to get the help you or your family needs from the comfort of your own home. Whether you're struggling with stress, anxiety, or just need someone to talk to, BetterHelp is here for you. And for listeners of the Savvy Giving Gal podcast, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy when you use our link in the description. Take that step towards a healthier you, because you're worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/savvy to get started today. Lee Ann and I could literally sit here on this couch all day and talk about so many different things, and many times we do. But I ask my guests these last 3 questions. And so, Lee Ann, what does it mean to you to be a community change maker?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking a lot about that. It's something I hope that we do on a daily basis. So it's just what we do, right? It's not a big deal. It's just a part of us. It's a part of our community. I try to say to my girls, leave the space that you're in the same or better than you find it. And that's a space, it can be a bathroom in a restaurant, where like there's tissue paper on the floor, just pick it up. It can be really simple things like my parking jobs, which are terrible. And I don't feel like reparking, but I should, because then you're being kind to the next person. And I was thinking a lot about this too. It can be much bigger than that. I think sometimes kindness, an act of kindness, takes courage. It can take patience, but it can also take courage. And if you're not the one being kind or acting in a kind manner, and we've seen this, not to get dramatic, but it's true throughout history, then who's going to speak up when you don't? I think it just is this whole ripple effect.
I love that. I love being an advocate for kindness, just showing people that, it may be difficult in certain situations, but you need to step up and you need to be kind and help other people along the way. So I love those little small examples because they do add up and, become a ripple effect. Speaking of ripple effects, how do you feel the ripple effect of kindness has manifested in your community you've built with not only ballers, but your women's exchange and with your clients?
Gosh, I feel so grateful for the mentors that I've had. I've had so many fantastic, amazing mentors. And I want to emphasize that they are women and men. And that was something I failed to understand. And I should have done that, way longer ago. Just reach out to the men who I didn't think would open their doors. And they were more than willing to. So I really envision and hope that the mentoring that I do, whether it's with college students or bringing in the MILFs and FILFs and people within Merrill right now or other, maybe other companies, that other people just do that. Right. We need to give back. You need to reach back behind you and lift up the person in back of you.
Yes.
And do it again and again. Yes. That's what we need. And
pass it forward.
Pass it forward.
Yes.
That's what I hope. And with ballers, it's been really I've been just kind of blown away by the connectivity, right? And when you're in that room, one time we had one of my friends came to her second or third meeting, and she's looking around, and she's like, "Oh, I used her for my estate plan. I used her for my taxes. I used her for my closet." But she's like, "I use every single person." And by use, it meant like she benefited from their services, and they benefited from her business, and that's what I hope. I hope that we just can all connect with whatever solutions we need. And I hope to spread that kindness.
Absolutely. And I feel like friendships have formed from that organization with all these amazing women that I've met over the course of the last several years, where they're not only helping me with my taxes, but becoming my friend, becoming my friends. And, and then vice versa, when they want to give back, I've gotten several calls where they're like, how do I do this? How do I add this giving component to my party? So it's been fantastic. So I'm so happy to be part of that organization. And if you could just suggest one small act of kindness our listeners can incorporate in their daily lives.
Yeah, I think it goes back to those small little things. It's the parking space. It's the, I think of my husband. He'll sometimes bring me a cup of coffee when I'm tired in the morning. It's just those little things, right? And do that for a friend. Do that for your colleague or the person you're working on the nonprofit with. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it does start small. How do you run a marathon? You run around the block first.
Right.
And so start with that small thing. And then also, and this is how I think Ballers kind of formed organically, is see what's missing. What's missing in your life that you need and want. And I'm pretty sure other people are going to want that too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, I also would say that if you feel like something's missing in your life, give back to someone else, connect with someone else. Like, it will give you purpose and hopefully create passions in the world where you feel like there's value and that you are just feeling well and happy. And
can I say one more thing about that?
You can say a lot of things.
I love Simon Sinek, getting to why starts with why, and the great TED talker. And he talks about that happiness, because that's really what you're talking about, give back and it'll make you feel good. And here's why, he says. He says happiness or joy can be found, sure, from like buying a lipstick or, buying a cozy sweater from hopefully Target, like my favorite spot. Yeah. That'll give you happiness or joy for about 2 days, maybe 15 minutes to 2 days. But true happiness comes from the fulfillment you feel by helping someone else.
Yep. And that's really what this podcast is all about.
It is.
So thank you for sharing that. Can you share where our listeners can find you, your Merrill team, and Ballers?
Sure. I'd love to. I think the best way to find me is on LinkedIn. So just go to LinkedIn. It's Lee Ann Coburn, Leann Coburn, Coburn. You can find everything there. The Ballers is The Ballers. It's Instagram, The Ballers. TheBawlers. Yeah. Message me. I'd love to hear from you.
Lee Ann shared some pretty amazing gems with us today. So I just want to leave the listeners with my top 3. So whether you're in finance or any field, find ways to support and uplift other women. Create a network like Lee Ann's Ballers group or a space for women to create and share knowledge, resources, encouragement, help each other succeed in personal and professional goals. Financial decisions can reflect our values. So by investing in companies and initiatives that align with our social goals, you're not only growing your wealth, but also contributing to a positive impact in the world. And third, balancing career and motherhood is possible with clear priorities and support. Like Lee Ann, staying passionate about what you do allows you to succeed in your career while also making time for family, self-care, and meaningful community involvement. Lee Ann is offering our listeners a complimentary personal wealth analysis that provides a fresh look at your financial plan. This helps determine if you're on track to reach your financial and life goals and what to do in order to optimize and maintain wealth. So mention the Savvy Giving Gal podcast when connecting with Lee Ann for this opportunity. And I'll also put details in the show notes. Lee Ann, thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge with me today and the listeners. I loved having you here.
Thank you. It was so my pleasure. So great to see you and be here.
So fun.
Yeah. Thanks. So great. Thank you.
Coming to fill up my cup.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope it sparks a desire in you to dedicate even a small slice of your life to uplifting others. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow me on Instagram at SavvyGivingGal. You can also visit my website at SavvyGivingGal.com. Let's spread positivity together.